My first introduction to Big Blue was at Randy's house, the very first time I ever saw Randy's material in person. And this was 2008. I was home for a short break during my apprenticeship, and it just stood out as this very, very special tree. Incredibly raw, rugged, wild, unrefined, but the potential was very clearly there. I started the work in 2010, and we started by repotting. It was the first repot of that kind that I had ever done, where I had this linear root. I had to really manipulate the root mass heavily. On that type of a tree, it was like an initiation of my journey into being an American bonsai professional. It was styled in 2011, recovered from the repotting, got very, very healthy. We started the structural movement, and you could tell in the branches of Big Blue that it was ancient. It wasn't just old, it was ancient. When you see Big Blue winning the Artisan's Cup, this is a major statement of a tree that still hadn't reached the peak of its quality. And recognizing that, you start to realize, oh wow, how far can we go with this singular tree and all of the potential that it possesses? After the Artisan's Cup, it just needed some time off to grow, to mature, to recover, to evolve. The roots expanded, the growth became completely disproportional to the tree, and inside of that evolution, you start to see these windows into that next realm of potential. What is this going to be next? How can I take this farther? My skill set evolved. Right? Together, the tree and I grew, and all of a sudden it came time to say, listen, this tree has been put out to pasture for several years, but there is still a lot to be had from this tree. And that was when we started the work on Big Blue. Digging back into a piece of work like that is really exhilarating. And when you come back and you work a bonsai of that caliber again, you have to wait until the tree is speaking to you as much as when you want to speak to the tree. Big Blue started speaking to me last year. There is a certain degree of anxiety and trepidation and potentially even fear handling a tree of that quality, age, caliber, etc. Each time you handle it, you have to be completely prepared and focused mentally to do the best possible thing that you can for that tree. And the more you handle something, the more opportunity there is for things to go wrong. So each time I handle Big Blue, I develop a significantly deeper relationship and passion for that tree. So the container always had an imperfection in it. And Big Blue's root mass was very, very dense, built up. It's one of the best root masses I've ever seen created on a wild collected tree in North America. The year after the Artisan's Cup was when we saw the container truly start to split apart. And then it was just a matter of time. Knowing we needed to repot it, waiting for the right time, tree to be healthy, aesthetic to be kind of reconsidered. I think one of the iconic aspects of Mirai's aesthetic is a heightened degree of asymmetry. Seeing ancient in the really rare instances that occurs across the world, you start to recognize that asymmetry and the farther degrees of asymmetry are a representation of age. Whenever you style a tree for the first time, you're going to be in a relatively close realm to symmetry in the canopy of the tree. But as it continues to evolve and that symmetrical form starts to become even more symmetrical, overgrown proportionally, you recognize, the way that I evolve this, the way that I regain proportion, the way that I push that age is to increase the degrees of asymmetry. And that's really where Big Blue stepped into that realm of reflecting a more ancient tree, both in its foliar mass and in the characteristics it has in its trunk. Everybody always wants to know, where is this tree headed? And I think I have an idea of where I would like for it to go. But the beautiful thing about bonsai is I'm not the one carrying the heavy load. The tree is always going to be taking on so much more of that informative stance in the relationship that we have together, that I'm going to let Big Blue kind of guide that dance. And I think this has also become an ethos of Mirai's style and approach to bonsai, is really letting the trees guide the dance and trying to be as objective and as out of the picture as possible, removed from those decisions that would express my bias onto the aesthetic of the tree. So where do I think Big Blue is going to go? I think Big Blue is going to go down a farther realm of asymmetrical form, pushing the degree of ancient as it's seen in an iconic evolution of a tree. By the end of my career, I hope that Big Blue has shown what is possible in terms of reflecting in the canopy of the tree every single stage of evolution as we advance that representation of age until Big Blue is representing that farthest realm of ancient. In a lot of ways, this recent styling of Big Blue is also, for me, a really full circle culmination of starting as an apprentice and exiting Japan and searching for an identity over the course of the past 10 years. And now coming back to a tree that raised my level from the very beginning, that was designed with a very underdeveloped notion of what bonsai aesthetic is. And now seeing it 10 years later, realizing its full potential as I've also kind of come full circle in my understanding of aesthetics and bonsai. Big Blue has been on that journey and has illustrated each step of that way, and it's been really fascinating to see where it's at now as a representation of myself as well as of Mirai in a tree that's showing its fullest form.